Shut up, Smarks. Ring Ross Redux. No, I won't tap out. I won't tap out. All of you butthurt suck. Just stop watching Raw. Stop watching Raw. Now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. So what I'm going to be doing this week, because it's the second week, I don't have to pre-review or paper review something. Next week that all changes, of course. So I'm going to reward myself by delving into kayfabe news versus WrestleCrap, just for the sheer entertainment of it. So, in the midst of an undefeated streak that has established her as one of the dominant women in WWE history, Asuka has suddenly left World Wrestling Entertainment after being summoned back to her home empire by the all-powerful Emperor of Tomorrow. The Empress of Tomorrow was whisked away from a recent WWE live event by an envoy of the Emperor, a beefy samurai named Lord Tenzai, who transported Asuka via chariot to Tomorrow, a small mysterious island empire east of Japan. Is that near Parts Unknown? It might be Parts Unknown, actually. The sudden departure strikes a serious blow to the women's division of WWE, the fate of which will now rest entirely on the shoulders of its second most dominant personality, JoJo. Little is known about the Emperor of Tomorrow, nor the mysterious empire over which he rules, except that it lies in an otherwise uninhabited time zone 24 hours ahead of Greenwich Mean Time. Although Asuka's status as Empress affords her great power and wrestling prowess, she is second in command to the Emperor, who is said to conquer enemy nations by throwing salt in their eyes and spewing green mist into their faces. I pity the poor people who actually believe kayfabe news, and WrestleCrap is straight, is like right in your face. It's right there. It's WrestleCrap. You can't possibly, you can, I guess, but you shouldn't believe what WrestleCrap is saying. Kayfabe news, on the other hand, has kayfabe in the name of it, so it's got to be real. Because Lemmings. Well, I'll be sorry to see her go. Not really going, but I'm playing along. I'm gonna be sorry to see her go, but you know, I don't think there'll be a day but go by that I'm not going to think about her. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. Now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. So we go from the kayfabe news to WrestleCrap.com, which of course its articles are usually a little bit more verbose. So, no, I'm not talking about the big Verboski. Oh my God, imagine that. Val Venus. Oh my God. Damien Sandow dressed as Val Venus would be the big Verboski. Anyway, just leave that in your mind, because I got an article here containing Damien Sandow. And, yeah, so from WWE 2013. So, author of this article, R.D. Reynolds, is probably going to setting himself up for a lot of hate mail, but he was talking to a friend the other day about how it feels as though the legendary A Christmas Carol is somewhat played out. Don't get him wrong, he still loves that movie and considers it an all-time classic, but it's been aired non-stop for years and years, and part of him wonders if perhaps it's time for a new holiday flick to take its place. That, or maybe he still has flashbacks to the horrible sequel, which you can read about by clicking on that link on this particular WrestleCrap.com article. What's interesting is while we're given several every new movies, okay, with Santa and whomever every 12 months, none seem to have any staying power whatsoever. Seriously, name a Christmas movie released this millennium that you can watch every year as part of your preparation for December 25th. Hope for the holidays. Oh, sorry, maybe that's just me. If you are, is the Muppet Christmas Carol part of this millennium? Probably not. Probably just missed it. If you are coming up blank, don't fret. So is RD. Not to worry though, as he can give you like 15 from the 40s and 50s. How sad is that? Still doesn't keep Hollywood from trying. About 15 years ago, Billy Bob Thornton showed up as a disheveled fat man from the North Pole in a film called Bad Santa. While that film had a few funny moments, it basically came and went, and a few thought much of it since. Still, it did garner enough notoriety to warrant a sequel a few years back. Heck, it even spawned a wrestling match in Raw. You know, like 10 years after the movie was in theaters. Is anyone really shocked by that? That is, after all, the same company that had the song Big Time as a WrestleMania theme song 20 years after it was initially released, and had a pay-per-view earlier this year named Great Balls of Fire. That song came out over half a century ago. A decade lag is about as timely as one can hope from WWE. And in our Monday night version of the story, Damien Sandow portrays Bad Santa, who has a stocking full of evil plans, much of which involve children. That came out very wrong, but just bear with me a minute. See, he feels the children of this world are leeches, and thus should not be gifted anything on December 25th, and enjoys telling them that very fact, as all good bad Santas do, I guess. Artie should note he's not at a mall or on the street corner ringing a bell. He's literally just sitting backstage at a WWE show hoping a kid will show up so he can ridicule them. Maybe it's just RD, but this seems to be a poor plan. Like, how would that even happen? Who would these children be? Kids of WWE personnel? Are they even allowed backstage? If they are, somewhere Bill Watts has to be shaking his head. Kind of like Reynolds was while watching these series of skits. Eventually, a curly-haired little doe shows up and tells Bad Santa she wants to sit on his lap. Thankfully, AJ Lee shows up and puts some paper towels on his lap as she fears the child may urinate or poop or something. Don't blame me, I'm just reporting the facts. Being a fair man, I do have to credit WWE for the casting of AJ Lee as an elf. She would have made a great Toriel. I can't be the only one that thinks she'd be better off than Evangeline Lilly was in the role, right? Yeah, I think maybe, but anyway. I enjoy watching it. I don't know how good she'd be in the role, but I enjoy watching it. See, she's wearing green and everything, so she's perfect as an elf. So the child sits in Sandow's lap, and they share your standard horrible WWE comedy about bad breath, which is recited in the most dry manner imaginable. Seriously, that evergreen next to them isn't as wooden as these two. Annoyed with the wee tot, Bad Santa informs her that he will not be bringing her any presents this year. In fact, he's not going to bring anyone gifts this year. Heck, while we're at it, let's just go ahead and cancel Christmas. Before you break out your tissues, let it be known there just happens to be another wrestling Santa. Better yet, he's a good Santa. By golly, it's none other than R.D. Reynolds' favorite protege, Mark Henry. He finds a sad little boy who wants to hop in his lap. Okay, wait a second, time out. Ever since Reynolds himself was little, he always found the concept of putting kids in strange old men's knees to be somewhat disturbing. I suppose the theory is Santa is akin to his kindly grandfather, and the coot is so ancient he can't hear what you're telling him unless you're really close. But in this instance, children are running around backstage at WWE, hepped up on goofball levels of crazy, in hopes of landing on this man's groinal region. And the kids look to be about 12 years old. How did that even make it on air? My God. Anywho, he explains that he heard Christmas is being nixed this year and then starts crying like a little wiener. I kind of wish the picture above there on WrestleCrap.com was depicting Mark getting ready to pop the kid in the mouth. He almost looks like he's clenching his fist, and anyway, playfully, of course. Of course, because we can't have child abuse. Unlike Shawn Michaels, who super kicked the kid off camera. But anyway, instead, Mark explains that he is the good Santa, and not only that, he's the world's strongest Santa, of course, because reasons. And ain't no way he's going to let Christmas be canceled. Ain't no stopping him, no. That's a different person. He follows that up with a mighty ho-ho-ho that has Reynolds believing that not only will he save Christmas on Raw, but that he should star in a series of flicks with him saving Christmas annually from various threats. Thinking reindeer going down with scarlet fever one year, then a Bitcoin economic collapse the following. Now, I strongly feel ideas such as these could make WWE films profitable. But I guess it would take something. It runs on a little bit from there, but long story short, good guy Santa, Mark Henry, saves the day, and Damien Sandow is vanquished to, well, wherever he's currently is now, with Aaron's thoughts and all that. The Club Kayfabe Creative Community, bringing together creative people from all walks of life and giving them a platform to show off their talents. Podcasters, artists, cosplayers, authors, check out all the information about Club Kayfabe creative community at ckcconline.com. Amid dozens of accusations of sexual misconduct at the highest levels of Hollywood and politics, new allegations have surfaced in the world of sports entertainment, claiming that at least 4 men repeatedly told colleagues, male and female, to suck it. If true, the accusations could shake World Wrestling Entertainment to its core, as one of the accused is said to now be a senior executive in the company. Unfortunately, these articles are a little bit not well edited, I guess. So, although none of the accused have yet been named, one of the accusers, who for the sake of anonymity has to be identified only as T. Stratus, told the New York Times that the men are a bunch of degenerates who behave like modern-day outlaws. According to leaked legal documents, substantial evidence exists that the men repeatedly told colleagues and even fans to get ready to suck it while making lewd gestures towards their genital regions. Even worse, if co-workers expressed that they were not down with that, the harassers replied that they had 2 words for them, implying the word suck and... Can't quite read what that one is. What is it? Can't quite... Oh, it. I think Chris Jericho would help me with that one. A spokesperson for WWE has dismissed the allegations as spurious and unfounded, but eagle-eyed fans noticed that all footage of WWE's so-called Attitude Era was quickly removed from the WWE network. I guess we'll have to go look at the old we'll have to use archive.org to look at what was on it yesterday, and then we'll just see if we can see the difference, and then maybe we can just break it down.
Woohoo! Go up! No!
Hey, what's up? This is referee Tony S, and you're listening to Ring Rust on CHMR.
So, back to WrestleCrap.com. Crapper Anthony Cox writes, just in time for Christmas is this fake Roman Reigns playset, complete with red pants jobber guy to make him look strong. I bet his catchphrase is, believe this. If I was a 10-year-old wrestling fan and I got this for Christmas, I'd be so disappointed. At first. Then I'd realize I could use these guys and the ring as fodder for my real Mattel wrestling figures to destroy in a hardcore match. Yeah, do it. When life hands you lemons, you make lemonade, kids. And that's Extreme Wrestlers playset. So, I mean, if you find at your local dollar store, which looks like where it's from. And look, even in the packaging. I don't know if I imagine it's not intentional. I just noticed the Roman Reigns action figure is standing on the shoulders of the jobber guy. I just noticed in the picture, he's literally standing on his shoulders. They're not quite making contact, but that's essentially the position they're in. Like the jobber's head is between, quote unquote, Roman Reigns' feet. So, wow. A little bit of extra body slamming action to, add to the high flying exclamation mark. So, yeah. That's something. That is most definitely wrestle crap. I'm going to go to the dollar store and see if I can find it. Not right now, but, I still got about an hour left of my show, so I'm not going to go right now. Maybe a little bit later. I don't know. Next time I find myself at a dollar store, I'll go to the toy section and see if I can find it. It might not be available here in Canada. Who knows? But I'll be ever hopeful. That time of year again. Time to get in your votes for the Ring Rust year-end Top 50 Countdown, where I run down my favorite and your favorite wrestling-related songs and wrestling engine themes from 50 all the way to number 1. Just like CHMR's Ring Rust on Facebook, and post your vote in the appropriate thread. Check it out on the last Friday of this year and the first Friday of next year. macho fact. Randy Savage built Rome in a day. And the Macho Man still uses a brick phone, and it gets excellent service. Like me on Facebook, tinyurl.com/ringrust. Follow me on Twitter @MarkJabroni. And subscribe to Jabronology TV, youtube.com/fanboymarkjabroni. This is Fanboy Mark Jabroni. You are listening to Ring Rust, now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. Insisting that it is just a silly diversion and nothing to take too seriously, idiotic wrestling quote-unquote fan Daryl Quinn of San Diego watched all 3 hours of Monday Night Raw this week without even a trace of the jaded contempt or cynical entitlement commonplace among true fans. Quinn, 27, had the audacity to call himself a fan of WWE despite never having ranted on social media about lazy booking, buried talent, boycott WWE, or the other rallying cries of real wrestling fandom. Pro wrestling is a hoot, says the dimwit. It's like a vaudeville variety show with a larger-than-life characters and silly storylines. Just the kind of kooky diversion we need from the troubles of the real world. Unquote. Oh my God. Can I smack him? Quinn actually had the gall to enjoy WWE programming and, at face value, temporarily suspending disbelief and enjoying its athletic morality plays rather than dissecting and critiquing every aspect of the product. Although Quinn once wrote a post on an online wrestling forum, quote, enjoyed every extravagant, spectacular moment, unquote, of the last WrestleMania, he was quickly banned for violating the forum's rules against unfettered positivity.
And now, if I can just lure Birdman to my secret spot?
Could you watch my death ray?
Ooh, Sprickins is sexy.
Hey, this is Chris Jericho, the highlight of the night, and you're listening to Ring Rust right here, 93.5 FM.
Now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. So, back from, we're going from Kayfabe News back to WrestleCrap.com. It came from YouTube. Park, Attorneys at Law commercial, as used by Impact Wrestling. And yes, they have a website, and the phone number is legitimate. So you go to park.com, and you'll read more about it. A good lawyer will be your best friend. A great lawyer will be the judge's best friend. Something along those lines, because it's just like, wow, that's fantastic. So yeah, they're really doing magic with the Joseph Park character in Impact Wrestling. The one shining star among everything else that might be going wrong. That if you're only aware of Impact Wrestling because of all the things they're doing that's apparently going wrong over there, then you're missing out. I mean, if you're actually watching Impact, then you get to see this firsthand. But go to park.com, enjoy yourself.
This is a great chance to talk Slamming Wrestling News Radio on Ring Rust, CHMR 93.5 FM.
Now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. When she returned after a long hiatus from WWE programming, British Vixen Paige, quote, looked like she had put on a pound or two, unquote, according to the gurgled critique of an elephantine wrestling fan who doesn't realize his TV's remote control is currently wedged into one of his dorsal folds. Well, yeah, she put on a pound or two when she returned to WWE, if you're referring to the British monetary value. She put on a pound or two. Such as it is. But anyway. I mean, she's still pretty hot, wheezed the fan, struggling to dislodge his left forearm from a near-empty can of Pringles. I would totally still do her, he added, seemingly unaware that Paige would never, ever do him, even if the fate of the entire human race relied on the two of them conceiving a child. Paige, for the record, has not gained any weight, nor have Bayley, Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, or the countless other female wrestlers from whom the fan described as chunky while watching wrestling from a sofa from which he is almost completely incapable of extricating himself. The fan, who goes by the alias NJPW_2_sweet on various online wrestling forums, is notorious for using critical terms like shoddy work rate and lazy booking, though he often misspells the terms on account of his plump fingers and steadily declining motor control. One of those fans. Yes, one of the Fat Hardy fans, which I usually respond, oh yeah, take your shirt off for a minute. They don't seem to like that. So, not that I necessarily want to see them with no shirt on, I just want them to prove they're not part of the problem, as it were. But someone who is part of the solution, if she gets her hands on him, will be Mickie James. I'm probably pretty sure she's not gonna like the implications of returning to Piggy James, like just before she left WWE last time. So, that's it. I'm gonna get out of her way and just let her do her thing. I'm gone.
Like me on Facebook, tinyurl.com/RayRust. Follow me on Twitter @MarkGibroni. And subscribe to Jarbronology TV, youtube.com/fanboymarkgibroni.
Now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. This coming straight out of Mena, Arkansas, from, WrestleCrap.com. So, despite being introduced as a rising star in the underground Mexican wrestling scene, making a one-night-only appearance in the United States, many fans in attendance for Saturday night's Western Arkansas Championship Wrestling event felt that promotional newcomer El Ganso Rojo, a luchador built from Tijuana, Mexico, bore a striking resemblance to local independent wrestler Johnny Poison, who wrestled on the card earlier that evening. I just find it odd that El Ganso Rojo and Johnny Poison both have pasty complexions, skinny fat physiques, are the same height, and both men have a wrestling style that's mostly enziguri variations and sloppy moonsaults, remarked local wrestling fan Tyler Coleman, who was in attendance Saturday night. They even have the exact same tribal armband tattoo on their right arms, although I guess that's inconclusive, since half of the WACW roster does as well, unquote. Some have gone as far as to accuse Johnny Poison and El Ganso Rojo of being the exact same wrestler in different costumes as to cheaply pad the WACW roster. That's preposterous, I tell you. Never in the history of professional wrestling. I'm not going to complete that phrase. Anyway, El Ganso Rojo was wearing the exact same baggy red pants that Johnny Poison wore during last week's Razorback Wrestling Syndicate show, says Tom Pettymore, proprietor of the popular wrestling conspiracy website DougGilbertIsTruth.info. For God's sake, El Ganso Rojo's pants had black Old English JP letters sewn into the right thigh. While the conspiracy is popular among many of the wrestling community, veteran wrestling journalist David Munster dismisses it as hearsay. Any real wrestling fan can tell that, while they may look sort of similar, there's no way that El Ganso Rojo and Johnny Poison can be the same guy, Munster remarked. You can clearly tell by their wrestling styles that El Ganso Rojo is influenced by classic WCW cruiserweights like Psychosis, Dean Malenko, and mid-90s La Parka, while Johnny Poison is more influenced by new age WCW cruiserweights like Blitzkrieg, Super Calo, and late 90s La Parka. When asked to comment, WACW promoter and world heavyweight champion Handsome Scott Hewson remarked that the alleged similarities between El Ganso Rojo and Johnny Poison were suspect at best. First of all, Johnny Poison left the arena on a stretcher after being chokeslammed by Heart Attack Bobby Dunlap during the opening match, so it's impossible for him to be El Ganso Rojo, said Hewson. Besides, Johnny wrestles with a shirt on, so any of the so-called similarities between the physiques are impossible to tell. Unquote. facepalm. WrestleCrap was unable to reach out to either El Ganso Rojo or Johnny Poison for comment, as WACW officials have informed us that the reclusive El Ganso Rojo is already back in Mexico and does not respond to media inquiries, and that Johnny Poison's father has stopped paying his cell phone bill.
That's it for another show, kiddies. Check me out on Facebook, where you can keep track of all the news that's right on the mark, from around ringside to the latest concerts. See you at the shows. Later days.
This is 93.5 CHMR FM.